In divorce court, my cheating wife called me a workhorse, reliable, predictable, and very easy to ride, thinking she'd already won. I slowly unbuttoned my shirt and revealed the transformation that would destroy her completely. The courtroom went dead silent as I stripped off my dress shirt, revealing a body she no longer recognized. Gone was the soft, comfortable man she'd been mocking moments before. In his place stood someone with lean, disciplined muscle and fresh scars that told a story of deliberate reinvention. Most importantly, right over my heart, was a bold new tattoo, a workhorse breaking free of its chains. The symbolism wasn't lost on anyone, especially not Jessica. Her smirk vanished instantly. Her boyfriend's amused expression turned to something like unease. Even Judge Reynolds tilted his head, clearly curious about what I was doing. I had spent months preparing for this exact moment, transforming not just my body, but my entire strategic position. "You want to talk about sacrifices?" I said, my voice calm and cold as steel. "For 8 years, I gave everything to this marriage. I worked overtime so she could quit her job and find herself. I paid for her shopping sprees, her fancy vacations, her cosmetic procedures. I even put her name on my business, thinking we were a team." I gestured toward her boyfriend sitting in the back row. "And how did she repay me? With him." A few murmurs swept through the courtroom as her lawyer tried to object, but Judge Reynolds held up a hand. "Let him speak." "You called me a workhorse?" I continued, my lips curling into a deliberate smirk. "That's funny, because this workhorse is about to run right over you." I reached down and grabbed a thick manila envelope from my chair, slamming it onto the table with a loud thud. "Inside this file are documents proving you have been committing financial fraud, hiding money, claiming expenses from my business that had nothing to do with you." Her mouth opened, then shut, then opened again as panic flickered in her eyes. "And because of that, I'm not only taking your alimony request off the table, I'm suing you for damages." The courtroom exploded into whispers. Her lawyer scrambled through his notes while she sat frozen, her perfectly rehearsed confidence shattered. For the first time in months, I saw something new in her eyes. Not arrogance, not amusement, but pure fear. What Jessica didn't understand was that she had underestimated exactly the wrong person. As a senior financial analyst at Blackstone and Associates, I specialized in corporate restructuring and forensic accounting. My annual salary of $145,000 dwarfed her $52,000 marketing coordinator position. And I had professional relationships with some of the city's best divorce attorneys from my corporate dissolution work. When I first discovered her affair 6 months ago, I wasn't just angry, I was methodical. Instead of confronting her emotionally, I did what she never thought I was capable of. I outplayed her completely. I hired Marcus Hoffman, a forensic accountant who specialized in exposing financial deception. What he found was staggering. Jessica had been slowly siphoning money from our joint accounts, covering her tracks by labeling theft as business expenses. Vacations with her boyfriend were listed as client networking. Thousands of dollars in designer clothes were filed under professional wardrobe. She'd even made a down payment on a secret apartment where she planned to start her new life after bleeding me dry. The beautiful part? She had signed everything herself, creating an irrefutable paper trail of fraud. Judge Reynolds flipped through the documents, his face unreadable, but his eyes narrowing. "Mrs. Hayes, do you have an explanation for these transactions?" Jessica was scrambling now, her usual confidence replaced by desperate damage control. "This is ridiculous. He's making things up. I would never—" "Your Honor," I cut in smoothly, "you'll find her signature on every fraudulent transaction. In fact," I slid another document across the table. "Here's an email where she instructs our accountant to shift money from our business account to her personal slush fund." Her face drained of color. "You hacked my email," she whispered. "No," I replied evenly. "I simply accessed all business communications tied to my company, the same company you tried to steal from. But I wasn't done yet. I had one more surprise that would bring her boyfriend crashing down with her." I stood up and pulled out a small USB drive. "Your Honor, I have one more piece of evidence. Recorded conversations between Mrs. Hayes and Mr. Brooks discussing their plan to bleed me financially before she officially filed for divorce." Her boyfriend's face went rigid. Jessica's head snapped toward me so fast I thought she might give herself whiplash. That's illegal. He can't record private conversations. Your Honor, all recordings were made in my own home, in a state where one-party consent is completely legal. Judge Reynolds motioned for the bailiff to collect the USB drive. The blood drained from Brooks' face, and I realized he had no idea Jessica was planning to take him down with her. He'd accepted money from her without questioning it, assuming it was legitimate divorce strategy. Now it looked like he was complicit in financial fraud, career suicide for a corporate lawyer. Given the serious nature of these claims, Judge Reynolds announced, I will need to review all evidence before making any rulings. Until then, all assets remain frozen. Frozen? Jessica's voice cracked in horror. Yes, which means you cannot access your bank accounts, your business shares, or any joint assets until this case is concluded. I watched as the reality of her situation finally settled in. She had been planning to walk away wealthy and victorious. Instead, she had just been cut off completely. Her hands were shaking as she turned to her lawyer, hissing, "Do something!" But he just rubbed his temples, looking utterly defeated. Meanwhile, her boyfriend was already checking his watch, looking like he wanted to be anywhere but here. I had seen his type before in corporate settings, men who run the moment money or reputation is threatened. 15 minutes later, during recess, I watched Jessica desperately cling to Brooks's arm. "Baby, listen to me," she pleaded, her voice trembling. "You know I wouldn't do this to you. It's just business stuff. We can fix this." Brooks ripped his arm away. "You idiot! Do you have any idea what you've done?" She blinked rapidly, tears forming. "You said we'd be together." "I said a lot of things," he replied, running his hand through his hair. "I didn't sign up to be part of a federal fraud investigation." As I walked past them, adjusting my cufflinks, I leaned in just enough to whisper, "Looks like you overplayed your hand, sweetheart." She turned on me, eyes blazing. "You think you won? You think this makes you a man?" I smiled slowly. "No, I think this makes me free." Over the next 3 weeks, Jessica's carefully constructed world collapsed piece by piece. The forensic audit revealed the full extent of her fraud. Over $73,000 stolen from our business accounts over 18 months. The district attorney's office opened a criminal investigation for embezzlement. Brooks's law firm publicly distanced itself from him within days. His boss released a statement about zero tolerance for unethical behavior, and Brooks resigned before they could fire him. His legal career was effectively over, and Jessica found herself completely alone. The final hearing was almost anticlimactic. Judge Reynolds ruled that not only would Jessica receive no alimony, but she owed me $127,000 in restitution plus legal fees. She kept the house, but couldn't afford the mortgage on her single income, exactly as my financial analysis had predicted. 3 months later, she showed up at my door one evening. I almost didn't recognize her. Gone were the expensive clothes and perfect makeup. She looked older, tired, desperate. "Hey," she said, forcing a small smile. "Can we talk?" I leaned against the doorframe. "What is there to talk about?" "Look, I know things got messy. I know we had our differences, but I miss you." She swallowed hard. "We had so many good years, and I made a mistake. I let things get out of control." I just stared at her, letting the silence stretch. Her act was slipping. "Damn it! Can't you just stop being so smug for 5 seconds? I'm trying here." There she was, the real Jessica. The one who had mocked me for being loyal, for being easy to ride. Now she wanted me back. "You don't miss me," I said plainly. "You miss the life I gave you." Her lips parted like she wanted to protest, but she knew it was true. "I have nothing left," she admitted, her voice breaking. "No money, no one to turn to. I just need a little help, just until I get back on my feet." I almost laughed at the audacity. Instead, I reached into my pocket, pulled out my wallet, and handed her a $1 bill. She stared at it. "What the hell is this?" I smiled. "Consider it my last act of generosity." Her face flushed red with humiliation as I shut the door in her face. That was the last time I ever saw Jessica Hayes. 6 months later, I heard through mutual friends that she'd lost the house to foreclosure and was working retail while facing potential jail time. Brooks had moved to another state, his legal career in ruins. They never spoke again after that day in court. As for me, I used the restitution money as a down payment on a downtown condo and got promoted to senior partner at my firm. The experience taught me that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is leave someone who genuinely thought you were beneath them. Jessica had called me a workhorse, thinking it was an insult. She was right about one thing: I was reliable and predictable. I reliably protected my assets, predictably documented everything, and systematically destroyed anyone who tried to take advantage of my loyalty. The workhorse had broken free of its chains, and it had trampled everyone who tried to hold the reins.